That famous over-exaggeration when he used to say, "I'm so bored, I could die." The day on Boredom Must Die, I was so bored, I researched the possibility of reviving someone from the dead. Originally, I wanted to look at a video game, Destiny 2, to see how Guardians are brought back to life. However, I couldn't find much lore about how that was done. So today we'll be mainly looking at zombies films and different ways people are brought back to life. Without question, brothers Victor and Edward Halpin in 1932 created the world's very first zombie movie, called White Zombie. A few decades later, we got George A. Romero, who created, of course, Night of the Living Dead, and these movies have led the world to imagination and doomsday preparation for generations now. So what are your guys' favorite zombie movies?
Zombie movie.
I mean, you can't not like Zombieland, you know what I'm saying?
Zombieland, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Zombieland's an obvious favorite, but if you want to pick like an old one, I forget.
It can be literally any of them. It could be any of them.
Yeah, I am terrible with when it comes to like. Okay, so you know the guy that voices Sid the Sloth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what zombie movie that one is? The one that he's in? It's like they have like a huge battle bus and like all this other craziness.
Oh,
I'm
that's
really disappointed in myself that I don't know the name.
right. I think that is. I actually own that movie. I think it's Dawn of the Dead. You're talking about Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, I think it is called Dawn of the Dead.
And then they have another one called Land of the Dead, which is like a society built in a mall.
Yes, I have seen that one as well, and I actually think the Dawn of the Dead is better.
I probably would go with Dawn of the Dead. It's probably one of my favorites. And like I know this one's like a little parody, but I probably laughed my ass off on Shaun of the Dead too.
Oh,
yes,
Shaun of the Dead's a classic.
Yeah, that is such a yes.
You can't like zombie movies without knowing of or hearing of Shaun of the Dead.
Agreed.
Yeah. No, like Nick Frost and Simon Pegg are geniuses. They're amazing. I mean, you can tell me that they're horrible humans. You could sit there and trash talk them all day to me. I don't care. I love those two. I think they're absolutely amazing. My personal favorite is Day of the Dead. The reason I like Day of the Dead is because it's based in Colorado. So it's kind of like where I live. It's out in the forest and stuff, and I just like it because it's kind of in the mountains. I don't know what it is about that particular zombie movie, but I do like it.
Actually, you just reminded me of a very old zombie movie. It's called Dead Snow.
Oh yeah. That's the one with the Nazis.
Yes, it is, and it is obnoxiously like gory, and I just, if anyone has not seen that, of course, absolutely go like watch all of these movies. But Dead Snow is a must. Like that one's hilarious.
I've never actually seen it.
Yeah, and please do give it a watch, Stars, because it is so funny. Like it's just obnoxiously gory, and
the best way to put it is if you've ever watched any Bruce Campbell movies like The Evil Dead or Army of Darkness. It's set up in that humorous type style.
Like for me, I've never been a huge fan of zombie type movies.
Yeah.
And stuff because like as soon as like some of them started coming out, and then of course The Walking Dead exploded.
Oh my god, I loved The Walking Dead until season 5, man.
Came out, and then as soon as it came out, everyone was on top of it. Like it was completely a culture thing that everyone took over. Everyone was watching, and it just got to the point for me that it was just overrated. And I'm just zombies are just like it's overly saturated with zombies these days now. Not really back then when like Day of the Dead and all that. Those movies came out.
Also,
that's supposed to come out. They're coming out with number 2.
Ones came out.
They're supposed to be coming out with number 2. So they have World War Z 2 coming out with Brad Pitt sometime soon.
That's neat. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Which is weird because they distributed the vaccine in the first one, so I wonder.
It wasn't a vaccine. It's just a quick refresher reminder. The actual vaccine was more so a version of smallpox. It was like a.
Oh yeah.
It was just a shot. It was just so that they would avoid you because they thought you were sick.
Yep.
So they disguise themselves, but it's not a vaccine per se yet. So there's still, I mean, the whole thing about World War Z though was the actual book. If you read the book, most people haven't, I assume.
Yeah, I did
I
not
have not.
Yeah, so like the whole idea behind the book was how the world would interact with one another during a crisis or pandemic of this magnitude, or say during a zombie crisis or outbreak. It wasn't actually supposed to be like a horror, like straight up zombie movie, which they turned it into a wonderful. I think the adaptation was fun. I enjoyed World War Z. Don't get me wrong, but like the book itself was more so about politics and how each of the countries would interact with one another during this time.
It's actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean it's the same idea behind Starship Troopers. Like if you ever watched Starship Troopers, the movie is amazing. It's a cult classic.
Starship Troopers, yeah.
If you read the book, it is 110% different because it's based off a completely different society, based off different politics structure.
I believe, you're talking about like how you're talking about like the books go off like the politics and how the world reacts. I think the movies went on approach of like just specific people and how they reacted and how they dealt with the
don't get me wrong, they still had some of that in the movie too, because you had the CIA agent from China who was pulling his teeth out, and he said, yeah, China survived because they pulled 10 billion people's teeth out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had was Israel, I think it was Israel, where they just built that big old wall.
They built the wall, yeah.
But I mean, moving on though, like how do zombies work? And there's several different versions of zombies throughout history in science fiction and in real life. Zombie organs still work partially, brains, lungs, heart, but they don't have a consciousness. They use their muscles and skeletons to move. And in real life, there are stories of voodoo zombies and voodoo sorcerers who can bring the dead back to life by capturing a human soul. In Haiti, there is a special powder researched by a botanist, Wade Davis. The powder is similar to a poison and that you would find in a blowfish, but with the right amount. He has seen it to have effects on people which make them similar to zombies. Victims go into a zombie-like trance, they lose their free will, they're more freely manipulated, so you could give them suggestions or hints to do stuff. The potent mixture can also make victims appear dead as well. And then just a fun fact, for the 19th century, they used to put bells into graveyards for the dead for people who weren't actually dead yet. People who were misdiagnosed, right? So you could be buried alive. You could just be unconscious. They're like, this guy's dead. They bury you alive. You were misdiagnosed as dead. You could ring the bell from your coffin in the graveyard so they could dig you up and get you out.
So that way they knew, you weren't actually dead. What the heck?
Imagine being the guy misdiagnosed as dead.
Medicine was so bad back then. They had to make a contingency just in case you weren't dead.
Well, could you imagine too?
At least they had it.
I bet you somewhere in humanity's history, there's one guy that happened to 5 times. He's like, you fuckers keep trying to bury me. And he just keeps ringing the bell. He's like, give me the fuck. Come on. I'm hungry. Just stuck in this coffin 6 feet under.
Grandpa got out the coffin
again. Just trying to get rid of me. He comes home to a wife like, God damn it, you got out again. Fuck.
Well, and then we had the movie The Lazarus Effect from 2015, which depicts bringing the dead back to life with a serum, which was created for coma patients, but unknowingly the serum brings people back to life from after they passed. They test the serum on a dead dog who comes back to life and behaves oddly, not eating. The dog's cataracts disappear and overall behavior's off. Later, the team suffers wild events where one of the science team members dies from electrocution and her lover injects her with the serum, unable to let her go. The magical serum brings the deceased back to life with superhuman strength, telepathy, and over time the brain rapidly changes, making them unstable and violent. In science fiction, there are normal zombies which are affected by a contagion that spread through saliva and blood, transmitting the disease to a new host after a zombie bites someone. Of course, we all know this. You always got to check for the bite marks. If you're bitten, you're screwed. You're dead. It's a death sentence. Well, for example, there's also movies like 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later, where the version of zombies is actually a rage virus similar to rabies passed on to humans. Do you guys think that could actually be plausible, where rabies could spread and turn into a virus and create a zombie outbreak or of the sorts?
I think if rabies evolved per se.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it mutated, or if somebody got a hold of it and genetically mutated it,
enhanced it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I
could see that happening. I could see it being enhanced or mutated some way, but I don't think rabies by itself Standalone would probably.
Yeah, because normally if you're in contact with rabies, you go and get like 17 shots or whatever. They give you like 7 different shots in the stomach.
They don't fuck around.
Oh no, they don't give a chance to.
I think, in all honesty, we'd have more fear from like parasites, because I know snails, they have like this weird like parasite thing that like literally like grows inside them and will actually hijack their entire bodies. Like when it's fully grown, it looks like a whole like light show in the snail's eye. Like it looks like they're just they're glowing in the eye. Like it's actually quite insane. But it's a parasite, and it actually completely hijacks the snail's body,
which is funny. Nuts. That's a perfect segue, because I was gonna say that, like, if you've ever played The Last of Us 1 or 2.
Yes, amazing games.
Yeah, that was one of the few known real life zombies, are actually ants. And like you say, it wouldn't surprise me that it affects other insects. So the slugs, totally believable, just because there has been closely recorded evidence and research into the real life zombie ants. And just like from The Last of Us 1 or 2, this is due to a fungus that's grown in the Brazilian jungles. It takes over carpenter ants. The fungus itself takes control of the body, and examining the ants, their jaws are locked onto a leaf. And the fungus continues to grow on their head, and they're victims of Ophiocydipus unilateralis. I can't even say that right, so don't quote me on that one. But that's what it's called. It's a particular fungus growing in the jungles of Brazil, which cuts off the ants' motor functions. Their brain is still conscious, but their body can't move because the fungus just takes over their muscle movement. So they're still conscious while the fungus moves them around. And it's not bringing the dead back to life per se, although it's theorized, the ant, like I said, it's theorized they have control of their mind.
Yeah,
interesting. How crazy is that? I mean, if you had a fungus take over your body and then it just cut off at the neck.
But is it the same as zombification, though? Like something like I was just talking about, like something hijacking your body and you're like a parasite, right? Like you still technically are alive, but zombies, like,
they're declared dead, and then they come back alive.
The whole idea is that they're dead and they come back, but like even with Walking Dead, right? The fever burns you out, and then like whatever the infection is, it brings you back. So ultimately, like we gotta set like a line of where we declare zombification and then just hijacking or whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? Like a nervous, like.
I feel like in real life though, there's a possibility that this fungus could bring back a body or something. Like it could take control of it with like a hive mind. Like Halo,
if it can take
like the
control
Flood.
Of your body,
if
it can take control of your body. If you die, that thing is still alive with inside you or on you.
Well, yeah, theoretically, it could still control your muscle or skeleton structure. Yeah. I mean, if it were to spread to humans, and I mean, among the zombified ants, there's other crazy things that like that happen in nature. There's the Ichneumon wasp. Have you ever heard of those guys?
I have not, no.
All right, what happens is a female wasp will find the spider, and specifically they like to go after orb weavers. They paralyze the spider and they lay eggs in the abdomen of the orb weaver, and unknowingly the orb weaver is host to baby wasp, which eventually the larvae grow and then physically affect the spider's nervous system with chemicals. So they're controlling the orb weaver spider with chemicals inside its body. And then it creates what will happen is the orb weaver responding to those chemicals, and this is scientifically observed. People have watched this happen with this particular Ichneumon wasp. Or Ichneumon. I could be saying it wrong. I have trouble with these sciencey names here. But what happens is those chemicals tell the orb weaver to create a nest to protect the wasp babies. And then there's also another one. There's the jewel wasp, which does the exact same thing with cockroaches. I mean, you think like you hear cockroaches, you think they could survive doomsday anything, not against these jewel wasp. And then lastly, the like one of the other ones I researched and found out about when I was looking into this was the protozoan parasites that infect animal cells, and they've been observed particularly in rodents. The parasitic infection makes rats and mice lose fear of predators, and like they just get eat up. They do not care about predators, and they will get eaten by predators. They don't run from them or anything.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Are they aggressive or like, or do they
just don't care.
They lose their
are they
fear.
oblivious? Yeah, like are they oblivious or they like they really just aren't scared of them?
I mean, when you look at it, when you think about it, that's kind of like the flight or fight system. So if you lose your capability of flight, you're gonna fight.
Yeah, I mean that's facts, but I was just curious what was triggering their yeah, what was just triggering?
Oh yeah, no. Let me see. Let's shoot you over the link if I can find it. Which I thought was just strange. I thought that was strange that there's a thing out there like that. Could you imagine losing your fight or flight instinct? And that's really bizarre for a parasite too, because usually when a parasite's inside something's body, they want to live, right? Like, I shot you the link though. You can take a look.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Oh yeah, see, wasps that produce zombie spiders, the emerald wasp. It's number 5. It's the worms that turn grasshoppers into zombies.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and then the one below that actually affects mammals, which is the protozoan that creates zombie rats essentially. So I would assume just nature wise, if you don't have a flight instinct, you're gonna have your fight instincts going off like immediately. You're gonna be more aggressive, I would assume, which would be crazy if that stuff actually spread to the predators and then up the food chain. But like, I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think there's a possibility of a fungus creating a Last of Us type scenario?
I completely think there could be something like that out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's already out there. It's already affecting carpenter ants in the Brazilian jungle. Like, do you think there's a chance it could spread to humans? And if so, would it be like The Last of Us?
I would say like when it comes to like genetics, it's all a code, right? So any type of like the code is altered, whether it's like the movies or the video games or not. I mean, it's possible, right? That's what it's long story short is what I'm getting at. I feel like anything along the lines is possible.
Right.
Because I mean, it's just coding. I mean, just like a computer. I mean, it's incredibly difficult coding.
If there's a way to manipulate a coding, then there's going to be a way that something like this is possible and that it's out there.
Is it
definitely
likely? I mean, probably not, but possible. I would say when it comes to that stuff, like, I mean, anything really is possible if you keep your mind open enough. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, people underestimate too. Like, imagination can be used as a weapon too.
Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, in conclusion,
oh, sorry. I know we were talking about the Lazarus thing. Earlier.
Yeah, the Lazarus effect, where they have that serum.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of shows that do that kind of same thing. Like, I know from Arrow from the DC universe.
I mean, yeah, you got the Lazarus.
You got the Lazarus Pit from like the DC universe, where you just like take a swim in this pool of Lazarus water and you can come back to life.
Isn't that?
But it also gives you a bloodlust as well. But that's just like its own little.
The League of Assassins. Don't the League of Assassins have some kind of pool or something in the DC universe?
Yeah, that's the Lazarus.
That's
Pit.
literally what it is.
It's called. Yeah. It's Ra's al Ghul's personal Lazarus Pit. That's why Ra's al Ghul is immortal, as people think or know.
Well, that's why he's been able to live so long.
Yeah,
because like he
thousands of years old, isn't he?
Like the cons and shit. Yeah, like
I mean,
and that's why like in Batman games and stuff, you would like do this like mission or whatever. You would like try to like become Ra's al Ghul or like take over for him.
Well, it's definitely
that's what Ra's al Ghul wanted was Bruce trying to take over.
Yeah, he wanted Bruce Wayne to be the new Ra's al Ghul.
He just wanted to retire.
Yeah, he wanted a predecessor.
Right.
But you were also talking about Destiny lore, right? With the fanatic.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's able to literally resurrect the
fallen.
Yeah. I mean the fallen.
Well, then there's another that takes control of the hive. I forget his name.
Now that is the Mindbender.
Mindbender. That's
right. Mindbender takes over the hive.
But he doesn't resurrect any of them. The only one
No.
that's able to resurrect is Fickrul, and that's just because he has gotten his powers from the Ahamkara.
Oh yeah.
And to explain the Ahamkara magic, well, I would have to be a Bungie developer, and unfortunately, I am not. So I could not explain
Talking about the
Ahamkara
lore
magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I could talk about Destiny lore for days, but it's just when it comes to Ahamkara, like there's not a whole lot that I like to talk about because there's not a whole lot that I certainly know. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not gonna go spew information that's not correct.
Oh no, yeah. That's why it was so hard when I really wanted to tie Destiny 2 into this because I love that game, but it was just really hard to figure, like, just find lore regarding.
I mean, our ghost.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
I tried to look into that, but it doesn't say exactly what the actual process is.
Explaining
like
what the power of the light is and
Yeah.
like how our ghosts were formed.
basically,
I mean, obviously,
the lore just goes that the ghost will hunt and find someone worthy of becoming a guardian, and poof, they're just back to life. And I'm like,
yeah,
how?
all we know is that the ghost was created by the Traveler.
Yeah,
in its dying time, by the way. It was created in its dying time, which is a huge part that a lot of lore heads like to mention, because that might have been like it's pretty much hinting at the ghost could be corrupt, right? Because obviously when the Traveler was in its panic state, there's a good chance
goes for anyone. That goes for anyone in a panic state. Like,
yes, of course. Like, if you create something in a panic state, it's definitely not going to be the most, pure thing of your, of all your creations. And that's, I mean, it's just crazy when it comes down to, I mean, really thinking about it. 'Cause,
I mean, that could also be the reason why there's those I guess say quote unquote evil guardians out there,
right?
Too.
Yeah,
because it could be the
they're
ghosts
able
that
to be corrupted. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, overall, in conclusion, there is no way to bring someone back from the dead unless you're revived by a beautiful or handsome paramedic of your choice through resuscitation. I think Stars might have a few that he enjoys, ideas, thoughts of resuscitation.
And
none
right now.
Thank you for listening to Boredom Must Die. I hope you found that entertaining. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you did, definitely follow and check us out for next week's episode. And don't forget to follow us on twitter.com/Boredom Must Die. You can join in the conversation and discuss any of your favorite episodes with us. Once again, that's twitter.com/Boredom Must Die.